Got it. So my wife with family because they really in that. They're there now.
Yes. Yeah, she bought a house. She bought a house this year.
That's right.
Okay.
She said you gotta follow her, she's awesome.
Really? What a compliment. Thanks.
Inspirational productivity coaches. Leaders and agents. That's what you're.
Okay.
So you can see it.
See where I'm at.
Got it.
See it on
Okay.
top?
Mike, we turned that.
Okay, oh, good.
So the visitor can see what's happening on Zoom.
So this is where you're being photoed, but just speak to the group. I mean,
Got it.
so.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hey, are we live? We good?
We're live.
Hey, Zoom partners. So we have a real treat. This was not on the annual calendar to begin with, but between Dick and Tony Brody and myself, we are very honored and privileged. Little internal humor here, sorry. So to have a friend of ours who was in town for other reasons, and we just said, gosh, can we call on you? Because she is an amazing talent in person and friend. And Caryn Prall, Caryn is C-A-R-Y-N, and Prall, P-R-A-L-L. And she is originally from Wheaton, Illinois, currently in Naperville, but she's had stops in Denver and Amarillo.
Started with Kitty in Columbus, Ohio.
Started in Columbus, Ohio. She went to played on tennis scholarship at the Ohio State University, and gosh, was an assistant team leader in Amarillo. That's an interesting thing. And so anyway, she's back in Naperville, Illinois, which is kind of like Plano is to Dallas, and Naperville is to Chicago. It's a western suburb, right? And I've been there. I've been to their market centers. And she and some partners, or she has a part of several market centers in that area, I think 3, 4, or 5 maybe. And she's an OP of one. She's still a TL of one. She's a woman of amazing integrity, but multiple talents. They've created a title company and an innovative model. They've done so many. Is that me again? That's my alarm saying it's time to go. All right, for me to go. And she's done coaching. She has a Facebook TV morning success series. What's it called?
Command Your Morning.
Command Your Morning. Okay, we can do some of that, and multi-talent. So enough of that. And we're just really blessed to have her. So I'm going to get her started with a couple questions and just let her run with it. And we will take your questions too. And since you have such a broad base of leadership, Caryn, and what have you done for yourself personally, and how have you led people in these most interesting times this past year between pandemic and social justice and political tensions, all that? It's just was some crazy times, easy to be distracted, and yet the real estate market has done well. So how have you led and inspired with those conditions? I'll switch places with you.
Okay, and thank you for the introduction, because I got married because of Dick, just so everybody knows. He's credited for my marriage and from Quantum Leap. And
Quantum Leap, oh, okay.
yeah, he did. He did. He was not the pastor that married us, but close enough. He made it happen. So thank you for the introduction, because you guys are honored. Like, to have Mike is amazing, because I use him as a resource. So it's really outstanding. This year was my toughest year I've ever had as a leader.
As a leader. Okay.
Toughest year. It was because there's so much unrest, and we have a responsibility of how we're going to show up to our people. And we went right into it. Like, as soon as the shutdown hit, is one, stay off the news. I stopped watching the news because I knew as I was watching, I could think. I'm a naturally highly optimistic person in everything I do. I'm never really in a bad mood. I mean, every once in a while. And I was watching this unfold, and we went and shut down in Chicago in March, and Chicago is still shut down. We couldn't transact, and I'm not sure what was happening here, but not as bad as California as they were affected, or Pennsylvania. And two things I realized. I really saw the value of the Realtor Association, So I appreciated it because they fought for us to make sure we were able to still transact real estate. And number two, we leaned right into it. So I made a website that like in one day, because I love technology. I'm really odd in that way. And we solidified our leadership team when we started doing check-ins every single day. And we do power-ups every day. I have 5 offices. We just are launching our 7th location that I'm an investor in, and getting everyone on the same page to work succinctly in a way to move people forward. Because we would see agents fall out of relationship with us. And what we were most concerned about, and this is probably with your clients too, we all run the same business. We're just on a different scale. And is that they wouldn't remember me or they wouldn't stay in touch with me. But actually our relationships became better with our agents because we could do so much more. I mean, the forced adoption of technology. I told Mike in the car, like, had I said to Mike a year ago, hey, why don't we Zoom this? He would think I'm crazy, right? And so now we're all in this position moving forward together and everyone has to adapt. There's no going back.
Yeah, so to technology and Zoom, specifically on Zoom, a statistic I had read or heard is as of March 1st, there were 10 million users of Zoom. Okay, as of November 1st, so that's still 2 months ago, there were over 400 million users of Zoom. So it exploded on the market. It became the...
I didn't buy the stock either.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh.
Well, you would, if you looked at certain metrics, the price earnings ratio, there were no earnings, and you would say, I would never buy that, but you got to take in the growth factor, and the stock's grown phenomenally, but that's neither here nor there. But there's other products out there. Microsoft has one called Teams and others, but Zoom has captured the market. I mean, it's just like facial tissue is Kleenex.
Exactly. I was just going to say it became, it's a verb now.
And so that's, yeah, it's a verb. So how have you, so let's run with that. So how have you used that piece of technology? What advantages has it given you in staying in touch or communication? How have you kept the group, the family, the agent,
it's
center together?
One, it's given us more time back. So I challenge agents to, one, just because you have an hour scheduled for 30 minutes, like your life can be so much more efficient using the technology. So travel times are eliminated, costs are eliminated, expenses are eliminated. That's one big piece of it. Also, you can do client parties. You can do, like I learned from Josh Anderson in Nashville, we did a bingo, right? We did a scavenger hunt. And these are all things that like we can teach our agents to get a hold of. We do market updates every week. So Pete, my partner, does a market update in every market area every day. He does one once a week in each office. So we're able to disseminate information. We know now that we are in much more relationship with more people because one-on-one, I can have one-on-one, right? You can't engage one-on-one and you can in Zoom, but now we can have a massive audience because people that weren't able to come in the office or for whatever reason, they had kids at home or a parent they were caring for, now they can engage and now we can record everything. Like that has been such a blessing because now we've created a whole library. Like there's so much we can do. And so I wanted agents for so long to make a video that says, congratulations, your home's under contract, right? And now I can say, why don't you do that? So here's what to expect next, right? And now you're going to have a home inspection and then every step. And now people are like, oh yeah, I can totally do that because they've become more comfortable with being on camera and doing something that they weren't comfortable with. So that's what I see as a really positive move forward.
Right. So it's adapting to the market and the tools we have at hand.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of people, and I hear this a lot, and I'm guessing you do too, is, boy, I just miss, like this year, we were going to go to family reunion in Vegas. We're not going to go. I miss the networking and the one. What we all do, but it's not an option, a smart option at this point.
That's right.
And so we'll get back to maybe a blend in the future. You think it'd be? Mm-hmm. I think we'll be back to that, but
I miss it.
Yeah, we all do. Like, I think most of us are somewhat social in the networking piece, and it's just a different experience. But as you said, this can reach so many more people. It's more economical. So there's pluses, many pluses to that. I think at Mega Camp in August or September, whenever it was, normally we have about 5,000 to 6,000 people there. And this year, I think it was like 30,000. 35,000 participated. So a lot of people who wouldn't go for various reasons, time, travel, expense, they got to experience some of the benefits of the content that's delivered.
And they nailed it on that platform.
Oh, yeah. And family reunion will be phenomenal. February 15th to 18th, sign up. So, okay.
Well, that platform, so KW had to adapt just as fast, right? And we did. I know I have competitors that are still shut down and their leaders just like sat back and we thought, no, how can we make people smarter? How can we make them better? You can do a first-time buyer seminar or a first-time seller seminar and people will pay attention. If I did it on Zoom a year ago, I would have gotten, maybe a 1% return on my sphere. Now it might be 10, 12%. Like there's so many things if we think and get out of our own way about the way we used to do things, because if we use realtors, I'm a third generation realtor. So if we had listened to what my grandmother would have said, there's no such, the internet doesn't make any sense. It'll never go anywhere, right? Where would we be today? And I see all these new tools. I see Clubhouse and I see these new technologies. And I thought, how is that an opportunity? How can I capture market? Because everything, when you make a decision to go all in, is an opportunity. And that's what's been fun. And so when Gary said cut expenses, it's coming, none of us can forecast a pandemic, a health pandemic. But he was right. Like I call this whole thing God's gut check, right? So because it's checking your priorities, it's checking your finances, it's full exposure. Recession is another term for exposure. But I got to look at all my monthly expenses and all my subscriptions and all these things. And we all got to take a deep dive. And I think buyers and sellers are doing that too. Who's using their home differently? Everybody, right? So I'm excited for what we get to do next. Like I'm totally embracing, and I'm going to go. We have to go all in because you're going to get left behind because the gap is widening. Yeah. I mean, and Gary talks about that a lot, like the gap of people who are plugged in or not.
Yeah, if we go all in, we're going to gain market share because a lot of competition is not going all in.
That's right.
So the gap will widen there too.
Mm-hmm.
So in the role of a leader, and you've heard it said, you don't get leadership to be popular necessarily. Yeah, right. And you've got multiple leadership roles. What's your favorite part of leadership? What's your favorite thing to do? And I'm going to go on the other side of that in just a minute. So.
My favorite part of leadership is individual successes. I'm a very individualistic relationship person. Is very important to me. No matter how big my world gets, and Tony asked me that today, actually. He's like, what's your greatest accomplishment? And I said, Dirk Van Rienen.
Yeah.
Because this is when I get emotional. My makeup, I'll get really upset. That's why I had to start a mask company, because I needed them to be disposable. It wasn't, I used to call Dirk in Amarillo, Texas. He was an agent in Amarillo, Texas. And he's this young, like hungry guy. And I would call him and I'd say, when are you ready to go from prudential to potential? Because I knew he had so much more to bring to the table. And no one was pouring into him because I know the owners at Prudential. By the way, when you guys are team leaders, go interview all your competitors first. That was like the best thing I ever did in Amarillo. I was moving there as to be an agent. So I went and met with every office and learned. And I was like, oh, we can knock this out of the park. So when he finally trusted me enough to partner and come into business with us, he plugged in and he went all in. And I have some, like these stories are, because I've been a team leader 11 years, like I am a dinosaur. And I was in South Africa teaching at Family Reunion a few years ago. And there was about 3,000 people in there. Wow. And there's 3,000, there were 3,000 agents. There were probably 800 people there. Okay. I'm sorry, correct me. But I was standing in the back of the room and he was the keynote speaker. And I thought, look at this kid. Like he plugged in and now they're paying for him to go around the world, KW, to speak. And he's living his best life ever. And he was in debt almost $1 million. And he had all the smarts. And now he's a partner with David Osborne. Like his world, like that's what I got to do, be a part of. And that moment I saw him on stage and he stopped and he said, I need to thank one person in this room for trusting.
He plugged in. Oh, he saw the potential.
He knew that model. He knew that book.
Well, let's just say, but it took somebody to encourage him and inspire him to plug in.
Yeah. Right. And trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. Like that's why you do it. I don't do it for the money because my agents make way more money than me. Yeah. I do it because that's when it's a life wallet, because I I didn't realize, but it was probably Dirk that told them to bring me to South Africa.
Yeah.
Right. So then I went to South Africa and I met the #1 agent in South Africa. Oh, I didn't meet her at the time. She reached out to me and she said, I want to come work for you. I go, great. Right. Priscilla Diego is her name. She was #1 in units sold. And it took a long time. Thank God it was a good immigration attorney from Texas, actually, who got her, and she came and worked for me for 1.5 years and an 18-month. I'm like, we're going to figure this out. And we did. And so now she's back and she wants to come back, but visa issues. Now she gets to go impact them. Like, it's amazing how it works in this company, because that doesn't happen anywhere else.
Right.
It doesn't.
So that's the joy of leadership and what you enjoy so much. Let's just get real here. There's we all in some form or another, there's some things we don't like to do that we know we need to do. How do you face those less than priority as far as fun tasks on a daily basis or weekly basis?
Well, I've been with other companies, and I had a meeting with a managing broker of a company, of an agent. They're blue, and I like her a lot. But I realized what made KW different. I knew it. Okay, so I was at KW as an agent, and then I left. Coldwell Banker bought me in Denver. They bought me, and I was really excited because my ego was like totally fulfilled. And I walked in the first day, and I'm like, where are my people? Because KW is who raised me. And I knew at that point I'd made a mistake, but I'd committed. I'm in because I signed a contract. So I had to stay. And so I had to move out of state to get out of it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, kind of. So one thing, there was a couple triggers there. Is one, I got a referral from a girlfriend from college. Relationships are really important to me. I've had my best friend I've had for 42 years. And I got my referral check. And she bought $1 million home. And my referral check was like $9,000. And I'm like, well, where's my money? Like they go, no, it goes through reload. And I go, but it's not reload, it's a personal referral. And so there were like all these triggers that were starting to happen. I'm like, okay, this is not my place. But I was interviewing a leadership candidate from CB about a year ago. And I said, I figured it out. I only have to be in business with people I want to. That's the magic of the cap.
Yeah.
And I must be really tough because I have a do not want list. And she has a lot of those people there. I said, that must be really tough to be forced to be in relationship with people you don't want to because of $1. And she just stopped, like, because they don't know, you don't realize how, like, we get to choose. So my toughest, it's a difficult task, but not a tough decision, is protecting the culture and asking people to leave.
Yeah.
That's actually joyful after, because we live in scarcity sometimes and a mindset around it, and you don't realize how much better things are on the other side.
Yeah, and I think in the environment we've been in, that's a real life situation, because of other things that are promised or promoted or whatever get people thinking, and we've got to be true to our people. We've got a model that we know works. Let's stay with our model. Let's stay in our path and just be as.
Let the noise go away.
Let the noise go away.
I had an agent that got bought by Compass, a friend of mine, and she's still a friend. And I said, come back. And she goes, oh, I owe $140,000 if I do. And I'm like, God, that sucks. Like, so imagine, so going back to that, imagine the office that she's at a place she doesn't want to be. How awful that is for the culture. Like we just don't work that way. And so when I would see agents start to dip or their production is falling or something, I'm like, how much are you watching the news? Turn it off. Like, turn off the news. It's good to be aware, but if we let it go down that path, then we're going to resign to all the noise that everybody else is telling us, when the only thing we need to do is make 20 contacts a day. Everyone hates hearing that, by the way. I hated hearing it too.
Yeah.
But if you are in the middle of your relationships, none of it else matters. Like, stay on course. And after 11 years, it took me 5 years to become like a good team leader. Like, I didn't know what company dollar was. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I just liked everybody. I didn't. And when I put my head down and just made a decision to focus and perform and work at my potential and it got rid of all the other noise, then it was done. Like it was easy.
Yeah. Okay. What do you see as, it's not an uncommon everywhere. It's like when you're in real, people find out you're real estate, the one question you'll get universally is how's the market, right?
Best question ever.
It seems like the question universally in the real estate database of people is, what's my opportunity? I want opportunity.
Well, you're the perfect example. I didn't know, like, I had never saved $5,000. Okay. I was a realtor. Like, you know what I mean by that. I made a lot of money and I spent a lot of money, and I never thought I would have, I teach a lot with the difference between self-confidence and self-worth, because it is a dramatic difference. I had a lot of confidence. I didn't have a lot of worth. And I really started focusing on that and realizing the cash flow quadrant is huge for me. And I didn't want to be an employee, and I didn't want to be, I have a YouTube of Tony talking about, it's on my YouTube. I have a couple different channels talking about the cash flow quadrant at Career Visioning in Chicago, like 6 years ago. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know what opportunity was. Here's what I knew is I better be ready when it comes, because there is an abundance of opportunity right now because some people are aging out, right? It's real estate. I mean, this is what happens. And there is so much opportunity out there that I can't, like, I had no idea that I would ever own 5 offices. I had no idea. I had no idea the ability to start a mass company. Like, none of this was ever an option for me, because I was a fun agent. And when I tell you that the company changes lives, like, it changes lives. And I told Mike a story today. We were on a Zoom 6 weeks ago, maybe. And he said something, which didn't even know he said it, that made me take a direction of a decision, because he's such an abundant, big thinker. And it made me decide to not do business with somebody else, which was like the opportunity of a lifetime, because of something he said. And when you realize you can be ready for anything, it's sharpen your leadership skills. You're the ALC. This is your practice time to, like, mess it up, right? When you lead your committees, practice leadership, practice messing it up, because if you don't make mistakes and you don't fail, I don't really believe in fail, but if you don't make mistakes, you're not thinking big enough. You're not trying hard enough. And I had an OP say it to me. He said, have you ever failed at anything? And I said, oh, like every day. And he goes, good, because if you said no, then it means you're not playing big enough. And so as you sit here today, like going to 2021, I'm so lost on time on calendar because I didn't go to Family Reunion, I didn't go to Mega Camp, right? You know, we have our benchmarks in our world, but you have a decision to make. Either you want opportunity, and it could look like the form of, do you want to buy a market center? Do you want to buy a property? Do you want to buy into a title company? And what I want to see people do more of is raise their hand and bring the opportunity, right? That's what I want people to push. I want people to raise their hands. I want people to say, hey, do you want to do this? Because there's unlimited resources in Keller Williams. We never need the money. There are so many people that will say, I'll invest, but it's in there for you. It's just raising your hand if you're going to decide to do it. And by doing it, it's being culture, it's producing, it's helping others. I mean, you're on the ALC for a reason, because you're the chosen few. Yeah,
something you said is, I think we all have heard this, but when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So you prepare every day, the opportunity will come. And at least you're prepared to respond to the opportunity. And opportunity is such a vague, broad term, and you gave some different examples of opportunity. And so when people say, what's my opportunity? And, you know, I could be a little flip. I say, what do you want to be? They say, well, I want to be a team leader. I say, but that role's, well, it's currently available here, but it might not be. And you say, well, that's fine. There's about 340 of them available right now in Keller Williams. And you get to go anywhere you want. 340. They say, what? I said, yeah, they're in, and I can name them. Well, no, but I don't want to move. Well, so that opportunity's just been qualified, right? And it doesn't come just, there is so much opportunity. There's the leadership path, there's the investor path, there's the coaching path. There just, it goes, we've just got the opportunity map on some of the walls around here. But it's not limited there. Opportunity comes in other ways. You'd be so successful at what you do, say in sales, the opportunity is go buy a property or go invest in something else or invest in another business. And I've always believed that in our model, our 100% model, but you start at 70-30 and you get to 100% is always be at 70-30.
I was at a 60-40.
Always pay, once you've capped, keep paying, you just start using that 30% for something else, for other opportunities, for investment, for savings, for collections, for opportunities. That's thinking long. That's being frugal now for prosperity later. Instead of just, well, I got an extra now, so it's time to go get a new whatever car. I'm not going to mention brand. There's a lot of them. So.
Well, I don't know if I'm just going to reference CB because that's my experience. I don't know if yours is an NRT around here or if it's different. I went to my managing broker and I said, I want to do more. Like, what do I want to do? I want to do more. And he gave me 2 answers. Guess what they were? Sell more houses. I'm like, obviously. Or increase your price point. And I'm like, no. Like, I want to do more.
It's more. It is more.
And they're like, yeah, I don't really understand what you're saying. I'm like, no, more. Because I was in a brand new office, KW office in Columbus. And so I saw this team leader role and I was like, she's nice, she's fun, she's smart. And she came from outside the industry and she did a really good job. And I just knew that there was a different way to get what I wanted. And so when my husband moved back to Amarillo, Texas area, I called the region and I said, hi, I want to be a team leader in Amarillo. And they're like, I'm your CB agent. I know. And so I explained to them after a long time of interviews, my husband's like, are you going into the CIA? I'm not. I am trying to get a job. And I said, pay me $24,000 a year. I promise I'll make it worth it. And this was 2010. Okay. So, the Market Center. And they said, okay, we don't need you. We have 60 agents. I said, oh no, you need me. You need me. And I took the job for $24,000 a year. I bet on myself that I knew if I could show my value for their $2,000 a month, that it would work. And it did. It did. And so that's what started is I raised my hand and bet on myself. I didn't wait for anybody to tell me what to do because I ran David over, like the team leader, him. His nickname was Grumpy. Like, that's not a team leader. Great man. And I just went and created it myself. I didn't wait for anyone to say, go do this. But I have a sister. I have 4 sisters. I'm the youngest. And she is an agent. She's a managing broker in one of my offices, which is funny because I'm younger. And her kids are like, are you my mom's boss? And I'm like, no, I'm your mom's boss's boss. And that's pretty fun. She says she wants to be a team leader, but she's not doing any of the work to do it. And she needs an assistant and she needs to leverage. And so there's one market center that is near and dear to her heart of ours that she is obsessed with. And I'm looking for a team leader. And I said, I'd love to hire you, but I can't because you're not ready. So now you're going to miss this opportunity again because you still haven't gotten your systems and your house in order to be able to go do that. Because you hear it. We don't have just one job. We have 5 jobs, but that's because we got our house in order first.
Yeah. So there's a country and western song called We All Want What We Ain't Got. I can't remember it's in my playlist. Dick probably knows who the singer is. And it's a pretty good song. And I think of, let me just give a real world example. We always see it, well, I want that, or I want that, or I want that. I want what Gary Keller has. Are you willing to do?
I'm willing to do what
Yeah, right. And so Dick and I used to be a part of a 20, 25 person, 30 person faculty that taught courses around the country that led to the CRS designation.
You taught my mom, by the way.
Oh gosh, that's enough. Okay, so too much information. And so, and it was not a glamorous job. I think the pay, but it was a cool job. It's a job you wanted because it was a tight group of people. Mm-hmm. And we used to practice scripts on when you're at the airport at the counter. What are the scripts to try and get upgraded? Because we were only reimbursed for coach, right? And it was a game on how do you. Oh, I'm in that game too. Get upgraded because none of us, or I certainly didn't have the status where you're almost automatically upgraded, right? Like whatever, in American Airlines had the executive platinum or concierge or whatever. And so you just would work it, and sometimes you get it. Sometimes when you get it, you're like, yeah, right. And so if I did get it, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I'm walking about past first class, I'm kind of angry at those people. I wanted to be in those seats, right? Right. And you know what the people in first class wish? Wish they had their own plane. Wish they were flying private. If they're flying private, they wish they had their buddy's bigger plane. We all want what we ain't got, right? Now it's okay to be aspirational, but it also is you got to be ready. You got to want it hard.
You got to commit.
You got to do what it takes to get to the position where you know. And so that's great wisdom. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I want to get my pilot's license. It's a goal. My dad has passed away, but he was a Navy hurricane hunter, and so he was a great pilot. Obviously, he flew through hurricanes, and this year, when Gary said, get lean and mean in your finances, I'm a spender and so is my husband. I cut all my monthlies and I bought stocks because on Robinhood, I don't know anything about it. I just thought, well, I'm going to take my $25 XM Sirius monthly and I'm going to buy $10 in this. Like I literally just started trying to learn. And I bought one stock of Embraer jet because I am going to own a jet someday.
Yeah.
Like I just bought one. That's all I could afford. And
it's a vision board. Right?
Yeah, it is. And I believe what you put out there. So every password of mine is in abundance. It's always like $20 billion or everything I do, because if I don't become the solution to what I want, then I'm not serving anybody, right? Because I have a responsibility now to my leaders to grow more opportunities for them. Because I know a couple things. I don't need to be an OP again. I'm good, but I want my friends and family that I love and that have supported me to be in business, and I want to create wealth for them, just like you do.
Yeah, but you don't want to be an OP again. But you want to help people be OPs.
And I want to own market centers.
You want to build them through it because you know what it's done for you. Right?
All day long. And this year, I found myself at Mo Anderson's house. She invited me to her home, and 10 years ago, I would have never had that conversation. Like that would have never happened in my world. It was when my 5th year in as a team leader, I decided to do something with what I had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from the $2,000 a month, because you wanted it so bad and you would prove yourself to where you are. That's amazing. I love that guy. So each step was an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me just take a break here and breathe and see what questions you might have for Caryn. This is a leader of leaders right here. And she's been in every role in this company.
I have a PC.
Tommy and then Deanna.
In this pandemic, what can you do to keep the culture inside your market center? I know you all did a lot of Zooms and things like that.
Oh, you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, his question was, what do we do to keep culture alive? I do Zoom scavenger hunts. We do bingo. I've dropped off bags at my ALC's houses. We mail them cards. We have a care call list. My ALC gets a list every month of who they're going to touch because I can't do it alone. Where I'm a team leader, I have 485 agents. So obviously I can't do it alone. And I have 1,100 agents in my ownership group. So it is divide and conquer because we know that people crave community, right? We know it from large churches. So you have to be in relationship. Every agent should be in relationship with 5 to 7 people inside the market center. If they're not, you're at risk, right? So how do I make sure that everybody is in relationship with somebody? Because I lost an agent to Compass last year because the only relationship was with me. I failed, right? He was capped for 8 more months. I mean, it's never about the money. And that was on me that I didn't realize that. But I went to a class and someone said that to me about the 5 to 7 and I've never forgotten it since. So we all have a responsibility to add to the culture because the beautiful thing about our company versus any other company is that we all win together, right? So EXP is not a player in my market, but I know they are across the country. Well, I fired an agent. That's where he went. So it was a perfect strategy. It worked.
It's common.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so nobody wants to go there. So but I did love his ex-fiance. I loved her, and now she's a team leader in our company. So Yeah, I never got out of a relationship with her.
So you follow up and then we'll go to Deanne.
So what we do for culture is it's all hands on deck to make sure we're in a relationship with them and how we can help them individually.
How about a rookie that started in this pandemic and has not walked inside his door 5 times?
He asked about a rookie never coming in the door. I think that rookie is going to kill it. And I'll tell you if they want to.
How do you, the 5 to 7 people?
Phone call, text, email. I mean, it doesn't have to be in person because I'm only, just so you know, I'm probably in judgment here, but I'm choosing rookie as a young person, just to be clear at this point right now. For this example, Kim Kardashian is a billionaire because of Instagram, right? And I knew that if I didn't adapt how business, yes, that is true. But her brand, she doesn't offer any value, right? I mean, and she doesn't sell cost goods. Business is done differently. Commerce is done differently. And so we're on Instagram. We're communicating with people. I sent out surveys, but I sat down with a 23-year-old and I said, help me understand your generation because I don't. And how they want to be communicated with and how they want technology and how they want leadership, how they feel supported is we ask. Because the way I want to do things, I'm a 3rd generation realtor. I want to be in the office. I go to work every day. What I would challenge them on is understanding the way we do business also. But as a leader, I have a responsibility to meet them at their level. And so I don't think you have to go in the market center to feel support and loved and cared for. But I do think that you have to have some relationships. So I think onboarding in pods is really important, that people are on a Zoom together so they get to know each other.
One thing I'm paraphrasing, I just got a real gem, is that it's not so much what you want to tell them, it's what they want to be told, and then it's how you tell them what they want to be told, right? And so that's getting in alignment as far as communication and stuff like this, right?
We do it with our sellers, right? How do you wish to be communicated?
Right, that's awesome.
So why wouldn't we do it with our agents?
Thank you, Caryn. Dan, you had I thought your hand was up earlier. Okay, Jess.
When you're hiring someone, what is a quality you look for in that person that if they don't have it, it's a deal breaker?
Okay, I love this question.
The question is?
When I hire someone, what is one thing I look for that is a deal breaker? Gosh, I love you have standards. I love you. I can already tell. Well, the one question is, I have 2. Mo Anderson taught me. The one question is, what's the most successful thing you've done since high school? It could be that they painted a wall. It doesn't matter as long as they say something. If someone doesn't have anything they're proud of, I don't want to be in business with them. It could be having a child. It doesn't matter. They just need to say something. And if they don't, I'm done. So that's one. Remember that old rule? The second one is I ask them how long they've had their longest friend.
How long they've had their longest?
Their longest friend.
Wow.
Because I was 35 and single, and I was online dating, which is how I met my husband. But I realized also that $29 a month was unlimited leads on Match.com. That was amazing. I sold 34 homes to one investor from Match.com. And then he was my tennis partner too, actually. Wow. And then he saw a realtor's card when we were looking at a house and thought she was pretty and called her. Now they're married. So I lost that. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. I asked my now husband, that question because he was 36. And I thought, well, if he's a friend for only 4 or 5 years, something's wrong, especially with technology. Like we should know how people are. And he said kindergarten. I was like, that's it. And I found since then, every person I'm in business with, I ask that question because at my age, it shouldn't be 5 years. Right. And so that's a
great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know people are always like, what?
Who is that person for us? And we're calculating, right?
Yeah.
I told you mine the other day, right? Somebody, Bill and Marty, it's 50 years.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be longer after hearing that. Anyway.
No, my dad's passed, but he's still best friends with his kindergarten.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
It's cool.
That's awesome. Any other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned on touching with your ALC. you drop off bags? Are you talking like goodie bags or just their favorite things?
Well, one is like, okay, we're not traveling this year, so we're able to be more profitable, right? So then we can do more things. We can have nicer things. I have the ugliest market center, the oldest market center in not a great location with a rundown building, and we're still number one. So I just want to make sure everyone knows it's not about where the market center is. I've heard every excuse. So we would, I bought like a jacket for them. I made signs to put in their yard that say, "Thank you, leader," for the end of 2020. And then I have new ones coming out because our clinic is next Friday, our retreat. And so they're going to go out overnight. And I delivered them myself. We did it. I did it for an office. I terminated my relationship with the team leader, the MCA, and the call coordinator in 1 week where I'm an OP. I had to. I mean, I wasn't inspecting what I expected, and you're all gone because I can't figure out who's responsible for this. I'm ultimately responsible. We did it for every single agent in the market center. We dropped off 145 bags. And, this will make me cry. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to hire someone initially because I'm like, I don't have time to do this. But I really believe in like real relationship. And it was like, I'd worked in my day and I was doing my task overnight. Like I was going to do it from 6 p.m. until 5 the next day if I needed to, whatever it was going to take. And I went to an agent's house who I recruited like 2 years before because I love recruiting. And she walked out and she said, "What are you doing here?" And her husband passed away the year, and I hadn't seen her. And I was meant to be, by like divine intervention, there that day because all she wanted was a hug. That's all she wanted. Because she was lonely, she's in this big house by herself. And I thought, this is why I do this. Like, it's right here, right now. It's not something I will leverage off. Yeah.
Awesome. Let me, for our Zoom friends, if you want to raise your hand or write in the chat book, we'll take your question. And Lori, you can monitor that and tell us if there's anybody. And any other questions here? So Caryn,
Where are your market centers in Chicago?
I have to do it. We're all the same. We're all contiguous, which is really fortunate by design. Downers Grove, Naperville, Plainfield, Glen Ellen, Geneva, Aurora. We opened a market center, number 1140, February 24th. Don't do that. Aurora. And then we just signed a lease for Elgin.
So 7, right?
Really?
7 locations,
Wow.
5 franchises, 7 locations.
Are those all market centers or some of them business centers?
Only Plainfield's a business center off in Naperville.
Okay.
2,000 square feet. We have 100 agents.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're very proud. That's actually one of our most profitable items or places.
Dick?
Caryn, can you speak to how important having standards is? And I want you to speak to it from 2 perspectives, from the perspective of the leader and the perspective of the agent. In other words, if I'm an agent, how important is it to me as an agent that you have standards for our markets?
It's everything.
Yeah, so repeat the question.
How important to you is standards from a leadership perspective and as an agent? I have really high expectations, and I don't apologize for it one bit. And what I mean by that, our staff, we were all at home, right? And the first thing I got in and said is, no one is losing their jobs. Like, you're all safe, right? And so they could breathe because they have to feed a family. But I said, you're also going to show up for work, and you're going to be dressed, and you're going to have makeup on. If you wear makeup, if you don't, that's fine. And you're gonna show up for work. So no sweatshirt, like the standards don't change because you're at home. Because how we show up is how our agents show up. Like when I got to Naperville, I said, no jeans, no flip-flops. They had a heart attack. They were very angry with me. But eventually what we saw was everybody started elevating up. And then Pete, my partner, my OP would come in and go, sorry, I have jeans on today. And I'm like, okay. And so when I raise my standards and everybody, the leader, you have to speak to the leader. So I just nailed a team leader in our company yesterday. I railed him about how he shows up on Zoom because that's not being a leader. So with my clients, when I sold real estate, I always dressed better than my client, right? Just because they wore jeans was not my decision. I'm professional. agents, so I expect the same from agents. If they're not showing up, well, I want to help them succeed, is remove it all. So I come from restaurants. I'm a restaurant girl. And so lights and music is really important to me in an office. Picking things up, being just like as a good agent does is, I explained it to this way to someone, is when someone would order a chicken sandwich from me, when I was a server, I wouldn't ever want them to ask me for ketchup. I'm going to bring it. And so how do we do that for not only our agents and our clients, who are my clients, but how do we set that standard of service moving forward?
That is awesome. So dress up as though you're going to be showing up. Dress up, agents, and frankly, I see this in some posts. What's great, I'm working in my jammies today. Or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and so it's a mindset, right, Caryn? It's, you gotta, even when you're home, which is a lot for some of us, it's just gonna help your whole demeanor and the way you talk. It's gonna be subliminal almost.
It is.
As though you're in business, as though you're, dress up as though you're about to walk into $1 million listing.
And I say to our agents, it's not about you, right? Anyone can dress however they choose. It's their business, whether they want to win or not.
Right.
We talked about those former IDs that, you know how they dressed. And it's about your colleague's client walks in. It's about their client walks in and how are you presenting, because you all represent each other. It's not about you. It's about your person you're in business with. That's what matters. Because when I was interviewing, I went to all the offices in Amarillo. Literally, I walked into a Century 21 office and they were all sitting in the lobby smoking. And I was like, holy cow, where am I? First of all, 1986, right? Because I worked at Remax office in high school. That's how it was. But I thought, this is not for me. Would I want my clients to show up this way and see this as an environment? No. And so it's important to me to just put our best foot forward.
Mm-hmm. Do we have something on the chat? Lori, what do we got?
Diane K is asking if you could give one piece of advice at managing your time well, what would that be?
Oh, I love this. Right now, I just challenged an agent.
Question is, so the speaker hears it.
She just did it on Zoom though,
Yeah.
right?
No, I muted, but that's okay.
Oh, the question is if you could.
One piece
Give one piece of advice on managing your time well.
This is so fun. Time blocking. These are all, I'm going to give you answers that no one wants to hear. I'm telling you, like they don't. So there's a bold on, it says work expands to the time allowed, right? I am challenging people. If I schedule an appointment for 1 hour, how much time are my people going to take? An hour. I have eliminated an hour appointment block at all times. Now they're 30 minutes. And it's amazing what gets done. And I get so much more time back from it. And I also set boundaries. So in real estate sales, it was, I don't want anything to me at 5. Like if I write an offer and there's a deadline, give it to me at noon. So I have the afternoon to negotiate it, right? I don't want to do it at night. And so when we start thinking about how to get front facing and get in front of it and send an email that I had to have a class on this in my office. Send an email in a proper format that you never, if they have any more questions, you've already answered it, right? So my goal is when I'm recruiting appointment, we say, any questions? No, I did, but you answered them all, right? So I always want to give more answers to questions they might have. And that really helps too. But shortening my time blocks has been huge.
Another example of that I work really hard on is when I'm calling someone and another person in that office answers, whether it's a realtor or anybody else, a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. They'll say, well, he's tied up right now, can I have him call you? I'll say, yes, and let me tell you what I'm calling about. That way, when they call back, that they've got a much higher chance of being prepared, or in fact, the person I'm talking to might ultimately be the person who can call me back.
Absolutely.
The calls you get and say, hey, Caryn, it's Dick, give me a call. You want to say, what about?
Right. Yeah, respect people's times. Also, agents, this is a business, right? And our clients are business people. Use Google Calendar to invite your sellers. Right? You treat it like an appointment. I mean, my dentist sends me a text message telling me my appointment's 30 days out. Like if they can do that, we should be doing it too and treating it like a business. And when I walk into a listing appointment, if I were selling, I would say, what is the one thing you want to make sure, I want to make sure you get accomplished today that makes our time purposeful, and respect it. And respect that time.
And I think if you're cutting from an hour to 30-minute time blocks, when that person shows up to see you, you say, thank you for being here. I've allowed 30 minutes for us today. So you've set the expectation so that it'll be more productive.
And Google Calendar sees it,
Yeah,
right? Now I know that I have 30-minute window. They know that. So if I say an hour, I'm going to talk to them for an hour, and it's not productive.
Awesome. Okay. Any other chats? No? Okay. Any other questions? Well,
I'll ask one since.
Yeah, so you
Hi.
think it's an hour, that means we have to be here. So no, we don't, when we're through.
Right.
that. So was there a question? Or?
Yeah, so what advice would you give for new agents that started just about when COVID hit? That can't be in the office, it's difficult to build that network with other real estate agents. It's also difficult to kind of absorb the culture this office is so famous for. So what advice would you give to new agents who are trying to find ways to get plugged in? And then also for the market centers to try to kind of help integrate the new folks in with some of the more tenured folks?
Absolutely. Tommy, ask that same question.
Oh, sorry. Tom.
And it's our responsibility to meet them where they're at, is what I said. So call them and ask them what they want and how they want to be communicated with. Here's what new agents don't need is ambiguity, right? So we've gotten agents that have gone to another company because they say they want to be led, right? They want to know next steps. What are the action items? What does it look like? Are we inviting them to Google Calendar? Are we calling and personally inviting people to things? Right? Because what we don't need to do is broadcast anything. We need to have a one-on-one relationship. So when I'm talking to a new agent and that was at another company and didn't have any closings, right? Zero, I have a good split. I'm like, well, 0 is still 0. So that's okay. And here you are. The managing broker would say, what do you want to talk about today? Well, they're a new agent. They have no idea what to talk about, right? So respect them enough to show them the path of here's what the next 12 weeks looks like. Here's what the managing broker is going to talk about today. I'm a systems person because I have ADD. So I'm required to have a lot of systems, which is why Leslie Vandergeist taught me why I have so many spreadsheets, because that's how I stay organized. And when we show them that this is buyer rep, this is listing contract, we're giving them a path. Ambiguity is not what they need. And then making sure we're creating pods. So we talked about onboarding. I onboard in groups because I want them in relationship with each other. Mm-hmm.
So for the agents specifically, how do you advise them? What kind of activities can they do to get plugged in with other folks?
With other agents?
Yes.
Call them and ask them questions.
Oh,
I just had an agent say to me, how are you going to triple my business? I'm being recruited. I welcome this conversation all day long. I said, okay, first, you already committed to send me your 411 and you haven't done that. So let's talk about that. I said, well, this isn't about me. This is your business. What have you done to find out what people are doing? What have you done to convert your leads at a higher pace? How many people do you have in your database? And I start going down a consulting conversation. But the ownership is on that person to also raise their hand. They're getting into real estate. They're a CEO of their company, right? So there is a responsibility on a new agent too to go, hey, can I shadow you? Because that's what our company is about, right? That's who we are. And can I shadow you on a Zoom? Can I shadow you here? Can I walk by an open house? Anything we want to do, mock open houses, mock closings, mock anything. But that is when we win together because we're raising the bar for all of it. So like our market stats are so important because we give language that they can take right to the listing table. And understanding what those numbers mean. So I'm old school. I grew up, as a daughter of a realtor. And my mom would check the hot sheet every day, right? That's all she did. I got to check the hot sheet. That's what she'd say. I'm like, I got it. And I still do that.
Great.
And I use my app. I use my app in bed every morning. Like when I wake up, I get on my app to see like what's new on the market so I can have conversations. I drive neighborhoods. We have an ability now that I didn't have. I had the map book. Remember those books? Maps go. God, I still kind of miss some of it. But the maps book, I would drive a different neighborhood every day on the way to work. I would get to know everyone's neighborhood. Like I need to know what they're selling for because I love information anyway. But I was never going to let someone question, like for me not to know. But if I didn't know, I would say, let me check. But if I went to Starbucks, by the way, if you guys all want to know, I get a venti coconut milk latte with 1 stevia. If I went there and they looked at me because they didn't know the answer, I would lose all faith in Starbucks, right? And so that's my job, is to know the market, and that's my responsibility. So you have a lot of HUDs here. I mean, we have a lot of neighborhoods here. Drive through, pull over, get on your app and see what's happening. Like, that's our job.
Great. The tag onto that a little bit is we had, I thought, a big aha or great idea in our retreat, ALC retreat or workshop this week. And for newer people is see if we can find a space, an area or an office, and we'll go ahead and decorate it and call it Future Stars or Rising Stars Group. And so so it's a place for them to go, have a place to work, collect, be with other like-minded people in similar situations, and they start creating their own little community for the future. Because I believe that people that go through Ignite together often stay the best friends through their career. You know, it's like being in a fraternity or sorority. It's a community or a bond or so forth. Shalene and then Tommy.
So with your career, and am I talking loud enough for someone here? Okay. With your career and how you've grown and gotten into so much business with market centers, when no balance is a myth, how did you handle being able to grow, still maintain business, still maintain getting people into leadership? How did you do that without saying, okay, that's it, I'm shutting everything down?
There's sacrifice, but that's a choice. And so my husband and I don't live in the same state. He lives in Oklahoma.
They're good, by the way. It's just.
Oh, trust me, it's the greatest situation.
Oil and gas, real estate, okay.
Well, Mo Anderson did it too.
Yeah.
Mo did it too. She flew back and forth, but now she has her own jet to do that. So I got buy-in, right? Hey, Joel, this is what I want to do. But it's going to take this. And he's like, go for it, babe. Right. And so if you get your kids to buy in, I tell my stepdaughter, I'm a bonus mom and I'm a glam mom. And my legacy is my grandkids. Like I do it for them. And when I explain to them, like, hey, I'm looking at this opportunity. What do you all think? Here's where you're going to win. So something that helped me as a leader, it's called the 4 parts of a request. My MAPS coach is Debbie Frapp. She has been for 10 years. She was my general manager in Amarillo. 4 parts of a request. Make it a statement. And I use this because I go really fast sometimes. And so I would need to make sure people understand, because then I get disappointed when it doesn't happen the way I imagined it in my head, but never told you. Make it a statement, exactly what it looks like, right? So, hey, I'm looking at this opportunity. This is what it would mean. Okay. What's in it for them? This is for sellers too. What's in it for them and buyers? The 4th thing is there anything you need from me to accomplish this? And I use that every single day. And it's actually on an old torn up piece of paper in front of my computer that I probably wrote 10 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Tommy, you're next, and then Deanne.
Okay. And as a team leader, how is speaking to the ALC?
Oh, yes. I have the best ALC. Okay. I mean, this is the second best. I'm just kidding. Yeah. This is the best ALC in Texas.
How can a ALC really lead Market Center and its agents?
Oh, I'm going to share with you my finance chair's meeting with me. Who's in finance chair here? Who's the finance committee?
We haven't picked our committee chairs just yet.
My finance committee knows my numbers better than me. I bet my finance chair knows the numbers better than any team leader in the company, because she takes it very seriously and she takes ownership. And that's why we are setting our records for our profit share. Because everything we do as a market center is actually modeled how we build an agent's business. We do the exact same thing. We have income, and then everything is either a cost of sale or an operating expense. And so it's relating the way that a market center operates to an agent's business, right? And so it's getting on a Zoom and saying, here's what the P&L looks like. And she goes year over year and she tells me when I'm off and why is this number higher, and I get questioned for everything. And it's what makes us great is she takes such ownership. There's a book called Extreme Ownership. If you haven't read it, it's outstanding. It's empowering them to take ownership of that role. So we do an Oktoberfest, it has 1,500 people out every year, like it's for agents. We can't do that right now, right? So how do we pivot and how do we show up for our client appreciation events and stuff? And so it's literally a GPS and a plan. My wealth building ALC chair has a GPS for her wealth building committee. And now she teaches in the market center how to build a GPS for wealth building. Right. And so everything is a model, because then now she's practicing, because she will be a team leader. And now she's practicing her leadership chops on this wealth building committee. Right. And so now I'm investing in her. I'm like, you're taking Linda McKissick's class. I'm going to pay for that, and we invest back to her. Yeah.
Dan, you got the big close.
So back to the rookie question that we had a minute ago. So I just started a team the last 6 months, and they're driving me crazy. But so you were talking about having them shadow you. So with real estate, you never know what you're gonna do from one day to the next, where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do. So do you just send them out a text and say, hey, I've got this afternoon, y'all wanna come with me? How do you do that? Because
So let me ask you something. Can I challenge you a little bit?
yes,
Why did you start a team?
because I had just going crazy and I wanted somebody to take over my buyers. I want to play golf. And I want to
Good for you.
clients at the golf.
Perfect. That's what it's
And I
about.
want to do all the listings and I want them to take the buyers.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Okay. Why are you so successful as an agent?
Because I just work my ass off.
And people like you, right?
Yes,
And they count on you.
yes.
How long you been in real estate?
Started KW in 05.
Okay.
I just went back.
Okay. Oh, me too.
That's what I'm going to say.
So my question for you is, your clients choose you because of you. And if someone's going to walk with your name on it, which is a good name, they better know how you do business. Because I am not going to it's the same with my team leaders.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, because everything that you're being driven crazy about, they feel the same way.
So they're not just buying you. Hear what she's saying. They're not just buying you, they're buying your standard of service. So there's somebody else carrying your business forward. It has to be your standard of service.
So they need to be attached to you for 6 weeks, whatever it
So
takes.
If they're not, then do you just let them go? Or do
All day
you
long.
Give them a,
Oh, I would say, here's the plan moving forward. Like I'd say, I apologize, right? I want to make sure we're set up for success. And so moving forward, this is the direction, because it is your team. You're the captain of your ship. If people don't like it, they can jump off the ship. We get out of business with people every day. And stick to it, right? That's the hardest part, is like sticking to it. But say, I want to create the best experience for you as an agent, because you want them on your team forever. You're not doing this for fun. It's exhausting, right, to build these people. But if you don't set the stage now and set it up now, you're going to be doing it over and over and over again. I mean, we got to take a step back to go forward.
thank you.
Were there any more chats? Last chance. Okay.
Okay.
Well, Caryn, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
This is a special day in KW.
I mean, like,
Plano.
really?
This is a special day in KW Plano for Dick and I and the team to have the honor of your presence and wisdom. And we hope you'll come back.
I would love to.
And
I'm not interviewing for the team leader job, by the way.
already tried. So
It's not-
then she found out who the OP was. She should
Yeah.
So anyway, safe travels. Good luck with the dress hunting and all
Wedding dress
that.
shopping.
And, thank you all for being here in person. Your
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Zoom family. And let's all go have a great day.
Yeah.
All right.